Shalom, shalom. Welcome, everybody. Tonight's class is on Halachah, and my husband starts with the first 30 minutes in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. He's going through the entire books. Where are you, in chapter 1 still?
We're on the end of chapter 3.
On the end of chapter 3. He's going to give the page numbers and everything. And so hopefully Halachah class is every Thursday night. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to my husband, and we're ready to go.
Good evening, everyone. We are using the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch in one of the edition. This particular edition is just the Ashko edition.
Is anybody on the conference center?
I am connected, and I might not be able to connect in Zoom.
Why?
But I am going to, because it's going to take me a while.
It's going to take you a while?
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we just learn? Colin,
Can
why don't
you
we
hear
just
him
learn?
well?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Colin? Yeah.
You're going to have to
Okay.
put her over here,
Okay.
because YouTube Live has to hear her. Has to hear you. So talk and see if she can hear you.
Can you still hear me, Colin?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Please feel free to make comments and questions. I'd appreciate it very much. Just give a quick review of last week. We were learning about getting dressed, that the Torah is concerned that each thing we do is with the proper order and proper respect before the Almighty, not only dressing modestly, but showing a certain amount of respect for the right side of the body, the right arm and the right foot, or right hand and right foot. That these are things that the Torah stresses with regard to certain commandments that we don't have time to go into now, but everything has an order. Everything has a purpose and a reason in the Torah. We also stressed, we spent a little time about when you, let's say a woman shakes hands with another woman, that would be a safe example. As we mentioned last week, you don't shake hands with your left hand if you're a righty. You use your right hand, and the other person responds with their right hand, and that you'd be insulted if you extended your right hand and they extended their left hand, which seems to show that they really don't want to shake hands with you, God forbid. So we mentioned these things last week. We mentioned if you have a garment that has sleeves, for instance, that you put in the right arm first and then the left arm. If tying is involved, like with shoes, you put the right shoe on first, the left shoe on next to that, but you do tie the left shoe first because of the tefillin, which are tied on the left arm. Women don't wear tefillin, but we're following this procedure anyway. And then you end up by tying your right shoe. Are we good so far, Carla? Do you have any comments or questions? This stuff all sounds familiar, I hope.
Yes. I always get confused when I walk out. When I come back out and from going outside, I always get confused whether I have to take the right side of the shoe or the left one.
Right. Maybe put up a little note or something to remind you to take off the left one first. Yeah. These things take practice. All of us, all these things in tonight's lesson also takes practice as well. Okay. We also mentioned not to put on two garments at the same time. There was a spiritual reason for that, as we explained, and that's why it's often not explained, because it's a difficult one to understand, that when you put on a garment, that a spiritual garment also covers you as well to protect you. And then when you put on yet another garment, let's say that you put on a jacket, and then you want to put on, let's say, a raincoat, just for an example, then yet another covering, a spiritual covering, covers that too. But if you put on the two garments at once, one of them gets squelched. It gets squeezed out of the picture. And we, of course, want to have every amount of holiness that we can have, and every amount of God's protection. So we said that, like, you're going to put on a jacket and a sweater, not to stick the sleeves of the sweater into the jacket we mentioned last week, so you can put on both at once. This we do not do. And likewise, don't take off two at once too. A little extra work, a little extra effort, but I don't think it really hurts anyone too much. Are we good so far?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And you can still hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. I'll be asking you from time to time, because these systems that we're using, sometimes they have a little personality problem. we have to baby them a little bit. Okay. Now, I'd like to go to paragraph 7 on page 15. This is the end of chapter 3 in your edition. Hopefully, we're going to get to the sitter today, too, a little bit, I hope. So it's page 15. It would be paragraph 7. And even the way we walk, our posture, tells a lot about our personality, as we know. So I'm going to read through this. I'll read it in English. I think under the circuit.
You said page 15?
Is page 15, paragraph 7.
Okay, I am. Thank you.
Okay. So, again, the Torah, the Almighty's great holy book, and the various sages and rabbis and prophets, including lady prophets too, who gave us the information as how to live as Jews and Jewesses, are even concerned about the way we walk. And you and I, even if we don't realize it, we judge people by the way that they walk. It makes an impression upon the way that they walk. So we'll understand the significance of this Halachah, this law, which is coming up next, which has to do with our posture. You should not walk with an upright, haughty posture and an outstretched neck. As it is said, this is a verse from the prophets, Vatelachna Netuyas Garon. The women would go with their nose up in the air. That's how we usually say it in this country. Maybe there's a similar expression where you come from, Carla. The nose would be up in the ear, which shows a haughtiness, like I'm better than you. I remember I have stories like this. I remember growing up, there was a certain professor, and he was an Orthodox Jew, and extremely arrogant, unbelievably arrogant. And I was just turned off just about every time I saw him walk by. He was a parent of children at our school, so I had to bite my tongue and keep my respect. He was a professor at one of the universities in the city, and he walked with his nose so high, I don't know how he could see in front of him. So this was an extreme example of someone who's showing extreme arrogance. And when he spoke to you like he came, I don't know from where, with very haughty language, haughty expressions, and so on and so forth, to show that he was better than everybody. This is the opposite of the way a Jewish man or Jewish woman or a Jewish child should walk. We are all humble before the Almighty. That doesn't mean that you walk bent over. As a matter of fact, one of the blessings that's repeated in different parts of the Torah is that we're going to walk with the Almighty koma miyus, which means with an upright stature, not an arrogant stature, but an upright stature. So you don't go around with a bowed head, a bowed back. You go with proper physical posture that's actually healthy. That's the way you should walk in a healthy manner as well. We're talking about healthy spiritually as well, because the way you walk tells a lot about yourself. And a person who has the nose up in the air, very haughty, this is a person that has to learn humility. Who can teach them? It's often not you or I. It might happen to be a rabbi in his synagogue that maybe could give a drusha, a sermon about this. So it's not so easy to get arrogant people to realize that they're arrogant. Now, the Shulchan Aruch continues with line 2. Please stop me if you have comments. If you lose the place or if I lose the place, help me find the place, okay? Nevertheless, you should not bend your head excessively.
I have a good question.
Yeah, can you speak up? Can you speak up a little bit? A little bit louder?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
I want to know. Hello.
Yeah. I'm here.
There was some. Yeah. When somebody is praying in the position of prayer, we're not supposed to lift our head up high.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, but in fact, we're normally not supposed to do that at all, as a matter of fact. Just what you call a normal posture. Sometimes, like on the high holidays, people pray with a bent position when we're doing the confession of sins, just temporarily with a bent position forward, showing humility before the Almighty. But normally you maintain a correct posture, not a haughty posture, but a correct posture. There's a certain point in the Shemona Esrei, we bend our knees, then we bow, then we pick our head up, etc. All, once again, it's to resume a normal posture, not an arrogant posture. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so your head is tipped a little bit moderately, so you're able to see anyone approaching you, and also you see where you are walking. So I want to tell you, I'm just going to finish the paragraph, then I want to give you an example. You don't have video, right? You only have the audio today, right?
Yes, it didn't. The Zoom didn't work.
Yeah, you don't have the video. Okay,
next week
so
I know I'm gonna have a better week after.
well, you and I, God willing, God should help. But we had our problems this week too. We had problems with the equipment also. God should help us. We managed to get the lessons in. So what you and I are going to do in a minute is two of us are going to stand up and practice this whole idea. So I'll just be with you. I just want to finish the paragraph. Do you see where I am from the way a person walks? Do you see where I am? It's the middle of that paragraph, 7? Yeah? From the way a person walks, we can tell if he's wise and intelligent, or if he is a fool and a boor, or be a lowly, ignorant person. Thus said King Solomon in his wisdom. Also in the manner that a fool walks, his heart fails him, and he announces to all his foolishness. So King Solomon is telling us that the way we walk, our posture, tells other people a lot about us, and it may be information we don't want them to have. Hereby informing everyone that he is a fool, because a fool walks in that manner. Unfortunately, he tells everybody who he is. So let's try a little experiment now. If you could stand up, I doubt if you have a mirror in your where you are now, do you? You happen to have a mirror there? Carla, can you hear me?
I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
Listening.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. Yeah. Okay. You do have a mirror?
Sorry, give me a second.
I mean a full length mirror. Yeah.
I am. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you better now. That's a big improvement. Thank you. Yeah. I can hear you now. So I actually have the
Okay.
I have the Zoom and the YouTube, so I can sort of see what I look like. Right now, I'm just standing straight, and my head is in such a position that I could see somebody, where I'm walking towards somebody.
Let me try to go to the phone. 1 second.
Yes.
I wanna be able to see. Let me go to Zoom 1 second. Let me try. 1 second. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No problem.
What happened?
As we're doing a little experiment with posture.
Hello?
Yes, yes. You're in front of a mirror, or you got Zoom
Now I'm
on?
able to speak.
You can see in Zoom.
Yes, but I put it on mute. Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, all right, that's good. If you stand up and stand the way you normally would, now stand as if there's someone coming towards you, so you're looking to see who's coming towards you. Your head might be slightly bent down. So if you could see your toes, not clearly, you don't have to bend all the way down, but just if you could see your toes, you'll have just the right angle. That one's head should be slightly tipped down. So you see where you're going, of course, but you can also see your toes as you walk, or the front of your shoe, So I just wanted to give you an idea of what that was like. Did you try it? Want to try it?
Yeah, I did.
You see, you have to bend your head down just slightly, and that's also an expression of humility. Once again, not all the way down like you're bowing or something like that. That's not required and not asked for at all. But the slight bent down head reminds a person to be humble before the Almighty. You find it interesting, it's actually discussed in this chapter, that men, as you know, are not supposed to walk even as much as 8 feet without a skull cap, hat, or something on. Women cover their head for a completely different reason. A young girl, a woman who has never been married, does not have to cover her hair or her head. And the reason you find very inspiring that men need a reminder to have awe and respect before the Almighty. That having your head covered, for a man especially, is a sign of respect. And it's in this chapter, as a matter of fact, which largely deals with men. But I just wanted to explain how interesting it is that women don't have to cover their head unless they've been married or are married. And there, it's for a completely different reason. It has to do with the hair being a part of the exposed body, whatever. We could discuss that another time. But men always have to have their head covered, except you're going to the shower or you're going swimming, or something of that nature. The doctor has to examine you or something for some reason. You have to remove your head covering, whatever it may happen to be. Women have an automatic fear for the Almighty. The word actually for the skull cap that we wear is called a yarmulke, which is a combination of 2 words, Yoreh me Elokim, fear of God, one who fears the Almighty. So we have to have a constant reminder on our head not to be arrogant and to realize that the Almighty is over us. And what are we covering? The most magnificent creation in the whole universe, the human brain. The human brain, the most intelligent creature when we act intelligently. And we therefore cover our head, saying to the Almighty, as smart as we think we are, we're nothing compared to you, Hashem. We must cover our head. So when we walk also, we walk with a humility before the Almighty and before other people too, with respect. Not with our nose up in the air, telling everybody I'm smarter, I'm taller, I'm more beautiful, I'm more great than you, etc., etc., etc. This affects a person's whole personality and the way they look upon themselves and others as well. Just like we discussed with regard to garments, that we don't wear something extra flashy just to get people's attention, whatever, or to wear something that outshines everyone else, even if it's modest, even if it covers the body properly. It's a show off thing. That's not a Jewish thing. That's not a Torah thing. You don't go to the opposite extreme and wear something ugly and then something unsightly, whatever. You don't do that. The middle road, as Maimonides taught us, you go by the middle road. Okay, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. I'm going on to 8 now. You should be careful not to walk between two women, because this was addressed obviously to a man. But look, similarly, two men should not permit a woman to walk between them. So your surroundings, a person's surroundings, affect the way they think and the way they feel. We see once again modesty. Um, this edition of the Shulchan Aruch skips it, but also it's not going to happen, of course, very often normally. But also a dog should not be between two human beings, etc. Doesn't create a proper atmosphere. It mentions also a pig too, which is the epitome of a non-kosher animal. But I think for us it suffices to say that when you're a crowded sidewalk, whatever it is, you work it so you don't walk between two men. You go to the side, one side or the other, etc. Out of courtesy, they should do that for you, frankly. If they see a woman is coming, what they do is, let's say they're separated, they move together so that the woman can go on one of the other sides of them. Here also, it's atmosphere. It has to do with atmosphere. Men and women, this thing, unless they're supposed to be together, they should not be together. They're not touching each other. They're not that close to each other, of course, but somehow, as you're walking along and you're exposed to the other gender person that's walking with you for a period of time, we're not talking, of course, about a husband and wife. I'm not talking about them, of course, not, nor a brother or sister, a mother with her son, or a daughter with her father. I'm not speaking about them. Of course, they walk together, of course. But we're talking about strangers. Strangers, you have two men, and there's a woman has to walk also. She should see to it, and they should see to it, that she does not walk between them. Two women are going to the synagogue, for instance, and a man has to pass them. Don't pass between them. Go around them, one side or the other. Sometimes this can be awkward. If you want to know where the biggest sidewalks are, have you been to New York City, Manhattan? Have you been there, Carla?
Yes, many times.
We ever in
Yes,
Manhattan?
many times.
Can you speak up? I can barely hear you.
Many times.
Oh, many times. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
why I keep the phone closer to myself, Robinson, really.
Yeah, so that nobody but the person on
What
the
can you do?
phone
But
can
at least
hear
they,
you.
they can hear me, at least. There's not much else I could do. It just doesn't work both ways.
It does. You just have to be conscious and speak a little louder, and that's it.
I can't hear Carla, I said. I didn't say I can't hear
All right,
myself.
so then let's try it
That's the
here
problem.
and see what happens.
She's the only one with us, as far as I know.
Well, you don't
Okay.
know because we're
All right.
recording this and over 30 people are going to see this.
If you've walked in Manhattan, you say many times, I've had a number of times too. It could be a little difficult to observe this law, right? At times, the sidewalks are so incredibly crowded, but we do the best that we can. That's the main thing. Do you have any more comments or questions before we go on?
yes.
Good.
If a woman,
Could you raise your voice as much as you can?
I'm sorry.
Could you raise your voice?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Better. That's better.
Okay. What would happen if a woman goes to a shul and then needs help to walk with a man from the shul because it's really dark or it's dangerous? or some type of help. But you don't really know them